Hi friends, today we are going to discuss about UCP 600 Article 30, which is related to tolerance in LC amount, quantity and unit price. I was getting a lot of queries related to this particular article, which talks about tolerance. So let us go and understand each and everything about UCP Article 30. Here we go, UCP Article 30A. The words about or approximately used in connection with the amount of the credit or the quantity or the unit price is stated in the credit are to be construed as allowing a tolerance not to exceed 10% more or 10% less than the amount, the quantity or the unit price to which they refer. What does it mean? Which they refer? It means when you find about or approximately word used against the LC amount. That means what? It means plus or minus 10% tolerance will be there against the LC amount. Remember, if you find about words against LC amount, 10% plus or minus tolerance will be given only against LC amount. Automatically, plus or minus 10% tolerance will not be applicable against the quantity or the unit price. So, to apply plus or minus 10% tolerance against the quantity or the unit price, such word should be against quantity, like about word should be there against quantity or about word should be there against unit price, then only plus or minus 10% tolerance will be applicable against the quantity or the unit price. Otherwise, automatically, if you observe about words against LC amount does not mean that plus or minus 10% tolerance will be given against the quantity or the unit price, right? We need to understand it is possible that seller and buyer, when they go for sales contract, may want to maintain flexibility on the quantity to be shipped, or maybe they are not able to fix the exact unit price due to volatility in the market. In such a situation, what usually seller and buyer will do, they will indicate the word about or approximately before the quantity or maybe before the unit price in the sales contract. So this particular UCP Article 30A reflects this commercial practice and provides a definite interpretation of the word about or approximately. Due to increase of swift messes like MT700 for issuance of LC, use of word like about or approximately has drastically been reduced. When a tolerance is to be applied to LC amount or unit price or quantity, swift messes require the insertion of the actual percentage amount rather than the words about or approximately. So LC issued in a letter form or LC issued in telex form, a reference to about or approximately means a tolerance of plus or minus 10%. Addition of the terms about or approximately or even an actual percentage figure in relation to LC amount will not automatically apply to the quantity or the unit price or vice versa. With this background, let us understand further. Example, tolerance in LC amount, MT700, field number 39A, percentage credit amount tolerance. It will indicate tolerance applicable to the LC amount only. For example, 10 by 10 means a tolerance of plus or minus 10% against the LC amount. Like that, tolerance in quantity, MT700, field number 45A, description of goods or services. Example, 5,000 metric ton plus or minus 10% means plus or minus 10% tolerance is applicable against the quantity. Like that, tolerance in unit price should appear after the details of the unit price. For example, $10 per metric ton plus or minus 10% means plus or minus 10% tolerance will be applicable against the unit price. Okay, so let us understand this further with an example here. So LC amount is 5,000 US dollar. You can see here goods quantity mentioned here, trousers about 5,000. So focus on the word about, means this is the case where 10% plus or minus tolerance will be applicable against the quantity. Partial shipment prohibited. You can see here field number 39A, percentage credit amount tolerance 10 by 10. What does it mean? 10 by 10 means plus or minus 10% tolerance to be given against the LC amount also. So in this case, both the places against amount as well as against the quantity plus or minus 10% need to be given. Okay. So if LC does not stipulate the unit price, then quantity can be shipped between 4,500 piece and 5,500 piece. How this figure has been arrived? It is very simple. Tolerance of 10% more or 10% less has been given against the quantity 5,000. So you can calculate simple. You can say that 90% of this 5,000 would be 4,500 and 110% of this 5,000 would be 5,500. 90% and 110% I have simply taken 10% plus or minus tolerance I have provided. Okay. And drawings amount can be between US dollar 4,500 and 5,500 US dollar. So here also tolerance of 10% more or 10% less against the LC amount has been given. Obviously, subject to invoice does not mention the unit price. So in this case, quantity 5,500, drawings amount US dollar 5,500 will be acceptable. Quantity 4,500, and see here, drawings amount 5,500 will also be acceptable. You may wonder how it is possible that quantity has been reduced by 10% within the tolerance range, but amount has been increased by 10% within the tolerance range. But how it is possible that one side it has been reduced, less has been taken, 10% less. Another side it is more, 10% has been taken against the LC amount. Whether it is allowed? Yes, it is well within the LC terms and conditions. So we need to allow it. We need to understand when LC does not stipulate the unit price, then we should not say that total amount divided by total quantity will be the unit price, because a lot of other several factors besides the actual goods shipped that determine the actual unit price of the goods, right? So further here in this case, you can see here that quantity 4,800 and drawing amount could be 4,500. This is also acceptable, right? Let us go and understand further in this. What is the second scenario could be? So you can see here, LC does not stipulate the unit price, but invoice shows the unit price. Okay. So in invoice, the unit price shown as US dollar 1 per piece. In this case, what will happen? Total drawings will be equal to the total quantity shipped multiplied by unit price. Unit price is not the requirement of the LC, but invoice indicates unit price. So in this case, what will happen that quantity 5,500 at the rate of 1, drawing amount would be 5,500. See here the difference. Quantity 4,500 at the rate of 1. So drawing will be only 4,500. And quantity 4,800 at the rate of 1. Drawing will be 4,800. So all are acceptable because of UCP Article 30A, where it allows plus or minus 10% against the quantity, against the unit price, against the LC amount, right? So based on the LC terms and condition, all these things are possible, acceptable. Let us go and understand further here. What is the difference? All remains the same. You can see here that field number 39A, 0 by 0. That means there is no tolerance given against the LC amount. So LC amount cannot be more than 5,000. So remember this, right? So LC stipulates tolerance in LC amount 0 by 0 rather than 10 by 10. In this case, total drawing cannot exceed the LC amount 5,000 because of 0 by 0 tolerance. So in this example, quantity could be 5,500, drawings amount could be only 5,000 Quantity 4,500, drawing amount could be 5,000. Quantity 4,800, drawing amount could be 5,000. Okay, so quantity you can see here has been totally based on plus or minus 10% tolerance is there, right? And there is no tolerance available against the LC amount, right? So, but below example will not be acceptable as it will exceed the available drawings amount. And that is here, you can say that quantity 5,500, when unit price is given at the rate of 1, drawing amount would be 5,500, which will mean that LC amount will get exceeded. Okay, so this is not acceptable, right? This situation is not acceptable. When unit price is given, quantity cannot be 5,500 because drawings would be, in this case, 5,500 and there is no tolerance given against the LC amount. LC amount cannot exceed, means drawing amount cannot exceed the LC amount, isn't it? 5,500. So remember this, right? So let us go and understand the next sub-article, that is Article 30B. 30B says a tolerance not to exceed 5% more or 5% less than the quantity of the goods is allowed, provided the credit does not state the quantity in terms of a stipulated number of packing units or individual items, and the total amount of the drawing does not exceed the amount of the credit. Okay, so we need to pay attention that it is related to only quantity. Okay, so it says 5% more or 5% less than the quantity. It does not talk about the unit price. It does not talk about the LC amount like we had seen in case of UCP Article 30A. Here, 30B is related only to the quantity, that too 5% more or 5% less tolerance against the quantity. But there is a condition. This article will be applicable when LC does not stipulate quantity in terms of number of packing units or individual items. And one more condition is there. Drawing should not exceed the LC amount. So what if you are giving 5% more tolerance against the quantity, does not mean that you will give 5% more tolerance against the LC amount. That is not permitted. Drawing does not exceed the LC amount. That you need to always keep in mind, right? We need to remember that there could be certain commodities where it will be very difficult to ship in exact quantities. Okay. So in that case, what will happen that 30B article permits a tolerance in the actual quantity shipped up to plus or minus 5% tolerance, subject to drawing should not exceed the LC amount. Okay. Even when LC prohibits partial shipment, right? So let us understand this concept, especially what are the conditions to be made for this particular article, right? So tolerance of plus or minus 5% in the quantity of the goods will not be applicable when LC stipulates the quantity in terms of stipulated number of packing units or individual items, or LC stipulates that the quantity is not to be exceeded or reduced. In that case, UCP Article 30B will not be applicable. You cannot give 5% more or 5% less tolerance against the quantity, right? But we need to understand what is the meaning of stipulated number of packing units or individual items. So here we go. Stipulated number of packing units means boxes, pallets, like 500 boxes, 50 pallets, etc. are basically, you can say, indication of stipulated number of packing units. In this case, Article 30B will not be applicable. And what about the individual items? Like 1,000 computers, 1,500 tires, 10,000 pens, etc. are the basically examples of individual items. There also, Article 30B will not be applicable. You cannot give plus or minus 5% tolerance against these quantities. Then where exactly 30B will be applicable? Where can you give the plus or minus 5% tolerance against the quantity. Here we go. It will be applicable when quantities are expressed in terms of metric tons, kilograms, gallons, etc. 5,000 metric ton of rice, typical example, where you can apply plus or minus 5% against the quantity, right? So let us take one example to understand here. So you can see here that quantity is given in metric ton. So you will apply UCP article 30B here, okay? LC does not stipulate the unit price, fine. So in this case, quantity can be shipped between 4,750 metric ton and 5,250 metric tons. How this figure has been arrived? Simple, tolerance of 5% more or 5% less against this quantity 5,000 has been applied. So simple calculation you can do. You can simply say that 95% of 5,000 would be 4,750 and 105% of 5,000 would be 5,250. So quantity can be shipped between these two numbers, right? But only condition is drawing should not exceed the LC amount. So if you are applying plus 5% tolerance, 5,250 does not mean that drawing can exceed the LC amount. No, it cannot. Okay. So for example, here quantity 5250 drawings amount should be up to the LC amount 5,000. Absolutely okay. Quantity 4850 drawing amount could be US$ 5,000. Absolutely okay. Quantity 4750 drawing amount could be 5,000. So basically you can say quantity, there is a tolerance of plus or minus 5% within that range. Every quantity is there, and LC amount does not, sorry, drawings amount does not exceed the LC amount. Absolutely okay. These all are acceptable, right? Another example, we can take it here. What is the position here? Invoice indicates the unit price, though it does not, LC does not stipulate the unit price, but invoice states the unit price. So what will be the impact of that? So in that case, total drawing would be equal to total quantity shipped multiplied by unit price, right? Simple calculation. So in this case, quantity could be 5,000 metric ton at the rate of 1. Drawing could be 5,000, absolutely okay, no challenge. What about this? Quantity 4,800 at the rate of 1. Drawing amount should be 4,800, right? Because of this unit price, okay? Quantity 4750 at the rate 1. Drawing amount in this case would be 4750. You can see the difference, right? When invoice indicates unit price, what is the difference we are getting in drawings amount? Fine. One more example, we can take it here. When LC itself suggests metric ton quantity and unit price is also given here, right? So at USD1 per metric ton. So in this case, when LC stipulates the unit price, quantity can be shipped between 4750 and 5,000 metric ton, not 5250 metric ton. Why? The question is why? Due to this unit price, right? Due to unit price, as drawing can be only up to the LC amount of 5,000. If LC stipulates unit price as $1 per metric ton, the invoice need to indicate the same. So let us take this example. Quantity 5,000 at the rate of 1. Drawings could be 5,000. Quantity 4800 at the rate of 1. Drawing could be 4,800 US dollar. Quantity 4750 metric ton at the rate of 1. Drawing could be 4750 US dollar. All are perfectly okay. Why? Plus 5% tolerance against the quantity we were not able to give in this case due to unit price. Because moment you will give 5% tolerance here, it will become 5250, isn't it? 5250 at the rate of 1 means $, 5250 will be the drawing amount, which will exceed the LC amount. Okay, so understand that concept. Let us go and understand further here. So UCP article 30C, it says even when partial shipments are not allowed, a tolerance not to exceed 5% less than the amount of the credit is allowed, provided that the quantity of the goods, if stated in the credit, is shipped in full and a unit price, if stated in the credit, is not reduced, or that sub-article 30B is not applicable. This tolerance does not apply when the credit stipulates a specific tolerance or uses the expression referred to in sub-article 30A. So we can see here that there are a lot of preconditions are there before we apply UCP Article 30C. 30C is related to drawings, tolerance not to exceed 5% less than the LC amount, right? So understand, it is related to drawings versus LC amount, okay? So there could be drawings against this particular article, which is within this tolerance range of 5% less than the LC amount. It does not say 5% more than the LC amount. Please remember, lower side is permitted. 5% tolerance against the LC amount, up to that range, drawings are permitted, even if partial shipment is prohibited, right? For example, if seller has agreed to ship the goods against CIF, named port of discharge Incoterms 2020 rule, then what seller will do? Seller will add the freight charge and insurance premium amount in the sales contract based on the indicative charges received from the carrier related to freight charge and indicative quote or charges received from the insurance company. But once LC is issued and this seller as a beneficiary of the LC receives the LC and he ships the goods, what will happen that he will have the actual freight charge and actual insurance premium paid by him. So what he will do, beneficiary of the LC will incorporate the actual freight charge and actual insurance premium paid in the invoice, not the indicative one. And there could be some variation there. To accommodate that variation, UCP Article 30C is there, right? So let us understand what are the precondition when UCP Article 30C you will apply. Precondition, partial shipment is not allowed. It starts with the very first word, even when partial shipments are not allowed. So when LC allows partial shipment, there is no control over how many shipment a beneficiary can make. And therefore, the tolerance referred to in this particular article 30C may have minimal effect. So it starts with even when partial shipments are not allowed. So this is one of the precondition of 30C. Then what are the other precondition? UCP Article 30A is not applicable. Then UCP Article 30B is not applicable. Then quantity of the goods must be shipped in full if stated in the credit. The unit price, if stated in the LC, is not reduced. Okay, so these are the precondition. Fine. So this particular article is also applicable even where quantity of the goods and unit price is not mentioned in the LC. Let us understand this particular entire thing in detail with an example, right? So here is the example. LC amount is 6,000 US dollar. Trousers here is basically quantity is 5,000 trousers piece, CIF, Colombo, Port, Incoterms 2020, right? Partial shipment prohibited. So here you can see here invoice may indicate trousers 5,000 piece, entire quantity has been shipped, amounting 5,000. Freight charges could be there, 5,500. This is the actual freight charge, okay? Insurance premium, again, actual insurance premium paid by the beneficiary, 300. So total amount comes to 5,850. So one side, LC does not allow partial shipment, whether this presentation against the LC amount of 600 will be acceptable or not. Here, UCP Article 30C will be applicable, and we need to find whether this amount is well within the 5% less tolerance of the LC amount or not. So drawing amount can be between 5750 and US dollar 6,000, right? How this figure has been arrived? Simple. Tolerance of 5% less of LC amount, 6,000 has been taken. So if you calculate 95% of 6,000, you will find 5700, right? So if within this, the drawing is there, then it is absolutely okay. And in this case, you can observe here a few more things. The drawing amount of 5850 US dollar will be acceptable as there is evidence of full shipment. How you would know? Total quantity has been shipped, okay, 5,000 trousers, and drawing amount 5850 is within the 5% less of the LC amount tolerance level. So this is how you need to understand UCP Article 30C. One acknowledgement, I have taken a lot of examples in this presentation from the book, The Banker's Guide to Examination under Documentary Credits, written by ATM Nesarul Haq and Team Sinderberg. So if you want to know more about the UCP Article 30, you can go and purchase this book, which is available in Amazon. With this, I conclude my today's video. I have tried to cover UCP Article 30 in a very simple manner. But if you still have any queries related to UCP Article 30, feel free to put it in comment box. I'll be happy to answer. And if you want me to create new videos in any of the trade finance related topics, put it in comment box. So if you have found some value from this video, please like this video, share this video, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. By the way, I am Isaac Tudu, an ex-banker with State Bank of India and ICICI Bank. Now I help exporter, importer, and bankers in the area of trade finance. I do conduct online training for CDCS exam preparation and other courses. So if you are interested to join my Telegram group or join my online training program, you can definitely be in touch with me. Contact details I have already given in my description. Thank you so much for sparing your valuable time to join and attain this entire video. Thank you so much.